So, we are honestly getting a chapter without any reveal, only more questions, and an implications that a main character may just have died, and also an implication the next chapter there will be a traitor. Great. Yes, great. And that is pure sarcasm, by the way, because that means we are facing ultimate despair. Yes, it's me, the angry and offended despair reviewer, although I technically only review Eden Zero nowadays or something like that. And as I said before, well, this chapter doesn't continue the Siggy flashback. In fact, no answers is there. Which is very uncharacteristic of Hiro Mishima. He always gets straight to the point, mostly, after he reveals something. But this time, no. All we get are more questions, and even some lampshaded hanging that nothing that Siggy says here actually makes sense. So what is happening? Well, the Eden Zero did indeed travel through time by extracting the ether from Rebecca and amplifying it. That is code 3173, Ethereum. Yes, the suspected Rebecca is Ethereum. And that also explains why which one said that she had compatibility to it. The Shining Star thought it was a weapons, but it was only the information that Siggy gave them. And Siggy confirms that he came here from 20,000 ago from the future of universe 3173. In that universe he didn't exist because Shiki sets out in space and takes part in the Eye War and gets flung into the future using those bombs. He calls that a fixed point in time. And yes, that is kind of confusing, but it's time. Time is always confusing. After he is born, that affected course of events in all the universes. And he says that after Siggy is born, that affects the course of events in universes. But of course, neither Shiki nor we understands what he means, and of course Siggy says, "Do I ever need to say you needed to?" And he calls Universe 3 a world that exists outside the wheel of time. So, and then Shiki is basically asked the same question we have asked. If your duty was to save human race, why are you trying to wipe them out? And of course Siggy says that you do not need to understand. And as Shiki grows frustrated over the fact that he's not answering the most important questions, he says that it will never be him. And Siggy confirms this. He may have been Shiki once, but now he is Siggy. And so he enters his overdrive form, which I have to admit, that is a very badass form. He even dons his mask again. He looks bigger, with even more horns than before. And outside the fact that... sorry. Yes, 1 minute. Sorry about that. So, it's... Hermito is pretty stunned about hearing this because they have actually been listening through Shiki's eye, I guess. And both she and sister are very shocked about hearing this conversation. And even though they didn't want to hear it, they did it. And just like we, there are so many things they cannot make any heads or tails of this. Because Hermit says that even if what Siggy says is true, there are so many contradictions. Because if Siggy didn't exist in universe 3173, then the Eden Zero shouldn't have existed there either. But Rebecca's bead cube had the words Eden Zero carved into it. Why would it have those specific words? Reading it out loud, didn't it say that the robots built Eden Zero and they named it Eden Zero through the cube that they saw in it? Doesn't that answer the questions? So sister proceeds to stomp Clown. And she's still in her dominatrix form, by the way. And so she asked, does Siggy want to wipe out the human race, destroy Mother and get Ethereum? What is he really after? But Clown, of course, do not answer, just smiles. Because the strange thing is here that As Siggy says he will wipe out his ghost of his past, he also says that Ethereal will be his. What really creates another contradiction in the past is the fact that Eden's one, that is obviously not a ship built in the future. That is built by Siggy, or at least something close to it. Which theorized that they may have had Ethereum too, but it seems to imply that it doesn't, but it has rival figure power. What is Siggy really after? Is all of this just a ploy, or is there something more? In fact, Hermito herself just came and says that if Eden Zero don't exist in Universe 3173, then does that mean that they also do not exist? What were they created for? Well, inside Dead and Crow, they are... where Laguna actually shows a different skill of healing broken bones. By turning another body into liquid and liquefying it, they can heal it all. And they get attacked by Dead and Crow's new robots. And while it looks like they can fight for a while, suddenly they lose the power. As Despair wins, Dead and Crow has caught Klein's ship. She manages to eject, but unfortunately gets grabbed by his hand, or at least punches. He punches Klein into the ground. The chapter ends there, as we all tremble in despair, saying, does that mean Klein now has died? Or did she use her overdrive form to somehow break the fall? I don't know. But a very, very, very confusing chapter. And also a little bit of a frustrating chapter. Mostly because, again, Hiromashima is not answering any of our questions. That is so unlike him. When he gets to a point, he always gets to the point. Yes, he makes us guess. He did the same with EMD and the truth about 400 years ago in Fairy Tail. So it's not that I'm saying that he answers his questions immediately. On the contrary, he makes us see it and then he actually answers. It's just that in the HM universes, the truth to an answer is actually not that complicated, and some may even say anticlimactic, if it's well to another thing. But this here is time, saying that Siggy is from 3173 because he became Siggy when Shiki was sent in that future. He was meant to save humanity, but something happened that makes him change that mind. And they are now in Universe 3, which is a fixed point in time, meaning that the Shiki, our main character, cannot become Siggy, or may not become Siggy, because he is outside of the realm of time. And there is something about Universe 3 that is different from everything else, because the universes will all doom to lose humanity after all. Or is it possible that Universe 3 would not lose humanity, but Siggy will be the one to do it? He says he wants to destroy Mother, because then all human race is eradicated. And yet he also says he wants to have Etherion, despite the fact that Eden's one has firepower that is equal to Etherion, implying that the power that is Etherion, or Rebecca's corpse, or whatever it is something much more deeper. It is something we do not understand yet. So yeah, again, there are too many questions. And every time we try to rack our brain to find an answer, I'm afraid, well, the answer is not really that satisfying. So that is basically the chapter. Also, an implication is that next chapter we are gonna get a traitor. And I hate that reveal. I hope Klein is alive, but something tells me she is not. And if there is a traitor, then I hope it is a traitor of the fact that it's a traitor that didn't even know they were a traitor, and not someone who was a traitor all along and just been feigning innocence. I hate those kind of characters the most, because that makes them immediately dislikable. Is it possible that it's Pino? Well, she was close to be brainwashed by Siggy those time ago. Is it very possible that she was brainwashed all along and just have acted all this time? Now that would be cruel, but I wouldn't go past it. Give me your thoughts if you have any.